So you love podcasts, and you want to listen to more amazing content, but you have no idea what to listen to. And your friends keep telling you about great episodes, yet you can never remember what they told you. Well, here's the answer. Good Pods. It's the social app dedicated to podcasts where your friends, podcast listeners, and favorite podcast hosts all come together to share on their feeds what they recommend and what they listen to. You can connect to others, bookmark episodes, start a conversation about the episode, connect to the hosts, and most importantly, listen to great podcasts right in the Good Pods app. Download Good Pods wherever you get your apps and start sharing with a community that loves to listen. Good Pods. It's where to connect and listen.
Now, fellas, let's be reasonable, huh? This is not the time or the place to perform some sort of half-ass autopsy on a fish. And I'm not going to stand here and see that thing cut open and see Lou Diamond spill out all over the dock.
Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have one of the owners of Thomaston Mills, manufacturer of American Blossom linens. Since she was 4 years old, she has been involved with the family business started by her grandfather, where she learned from the ground up about the textile industry. Her company's philosophy is that people are looking for sustainable products impeccably made here in the USA by your friends and neighbors that will last and never go out of style. Thrive Loud listeners, Janet Wischnia. Janet, how are you today?
Good. How about you? Thank you for having me.
Excited to have you here. I love people who come from family succession businesses that get passed down from generation or involved in an industry for a long time. I think our listeners would love to hear your story and a little bit about your business, obviously, as well. So if you could, Janet, it's not a straight fluid story as I understand it. So maybe give the listeners a little bit of how this all came to be and what you've been focusing on now.
Sure. So as you said in the intro, I really started, put in quotes, working in the family business when I was about 4 years old.
Yeah, I would hope so. Child labor laws would be a little difficult even back
then. and what that consisted of, my dad, the business was started by my grandfather. It started as a retail store in the Center City area of Philadelphia. My dad grew up in the business with his two brothers, and he worked in the business since he was a kid. And then when he graduated college and his brothers graduated college, they sort of took over the business and were growing it. My dad used to work a lot of hours, and he would come home at night and bring paperwork home, and he would sit at a table. I think it was in his bedroom at the time, and I would sit there with him, and he would sort of tutor me on business things. He would teach me accounting, whatever a young child could grasp. As I got older, it got, more advanced, and he would bring paperwork home. I just remember he would bring invoices home that he was mailing to people, and he would have me fold the papers and put them in the envelopes for him.
Huh. And it's a great way to learn, though. It gives you a role of responsibility.
It really is. So it was a requirement as I was growing up. Every vacation we had from school, pretty much starting, I guess, when I was, in elementary school in the sixth grade, maybe, I would have to go during vacation to work at the company and learn, how my dad made a living. And I started out, delivering papers to different people. And as I got older and could do more, I started filing, and then I started helping in customer service and, did more and more advanced things. So then I got old enough and I went to college, and I went to college in the 70s and early 80s, and I became a little rebellious. And I decided I did not want to go into the family business at that time. And instead, I wanted to get a degree in anthropology and become a professor.
Okay.
So as I started nearing the end of my undergraduate degree at University of Pennsylvania, I was starting to think, what am I going to do next? And I was getting a little concerned. It was senior year. And my fiance at the time, who is now my husband, said, you're really good at business. You're good at relating to people. You understand numbers. Why don't you give it a try? If you don't like it, you can do something else. So I agreed with him, and I took like a week off after college and decided to go back into the family business. And I stayed ever since then.
Wow.
I ended up, I love it working there. I started from the ground up when I graduated college, but I've gotten to reinvent myself several times there. And, working in a family business, you really can control your destiny. You can do things that you like to do and develop things that you are interested in. And I've felt very lucky and blessed and grateful that I've been able to do that. The other thing as a woman in a family business, and I kind of felt like I had freedom to use my time the way I needed to. In other words, when my kids were little, I was able to come in a little bit later and take my kids to school, or leave if I had to go to an event. But I made up the time on the weekend or at night. Like, I still worked way over 40 hours a week, but it was a flexible way of doing things. So
right.
that was really good.
Janet, it's interesting because I know there's like blessing and curses about having a family business.
Yeah.
One is that, you have the flexibility that you just described, and obviously a real good view of all the levels of working in a business, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I'm always fascinated by manufacturing. And then, of course, the negative of that is, as time goes on and the business goes on, you never get away from the family business because it is your family. So I guess what I want to ask you is, as a leader in this company over the years, can you share with the listeners maybe the biggest challenge you had as a leader of your company, specifically as it relates to dealing with a family-owned business?
Oh, well, I guess the challenge is really, people probably. How to put the right people in the right places.
Yep. And
keep them motivated, family and non-family. I think that's the hardest thing to do. And kind of making sure the business goes in the right direction, and that you change directions when you need to. I think those have been the biggest challenges.
Yeah, at one time we had a guest on the show host a program focused on family businesses. It was Lori Barkman. We should get you on that show. We'll talk about that. And what was really great was talking about the biggest challenges is, like, someone had to fire grandpa or something like that, and those issues. So I want to talk about this business, American Blossoms Linens, because this is an interesting topic and specifically relevant to the world we're in today. I always love the fact that we forget how much time we spend in bed.
Yeah.
and one of the things I've been speaking about is specifically the early stages as we were dealing with COVID-19 here in the United States, and we're both in the Northeast, where obviously it was pretty prevalent, how important rest was during this stage. And I think it's really important because I know that's something that your company is very about. Can you speak to the listeners a little bit about American Blossoms Linens, the products that you make? Because I think it's really important and connects to our audience on how important this really is.
Yeah. I just want to mention one thing about my dad that I didn't mention before I answer that question. My dad right now is 95.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he worked in the business, his entire life. And it's really only the past year or two that he's been ill. So
Well, we
Just
wish,
want
wish,
to
wish,
clarify that.
understood,
Yeah.
and wishing him well, obviously, in whatever way that is for you. So again, understood, totally get it, and that's great to still have him here. So
Yes, it is. I feel really blessed because a lot of people have lost a lot of people, a lot
yeah,
of older people over the last couple of months. It's
very
been
true.
pretty devastating. Anyway, American Blossom. So our company has been manufacturing bedding for over 100 years. But we've been primarily in the healthcare and hospitality trade.
Okay.
Although my grandfather started as a retail business, over the years they got out of the retail business and went more into the wholesale business, selling to government. That morphed to manufacturing bedding and to selling healthcare and hospitality and government agencies. And that's been our primary business. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started thinking, we make some really nice sheets for hotels. And with the conversation about Made in America becoming more prevalent over the last couple of years, I thought, wouldn't it be nice to try to make bedding made in America, using some of the similar qualities that we use for our hotel. And so we got together and we decided we were going to give it a try and go into the direct-to-consumer business. And so we took an item that we made for hotels, but we changed it a bit. We decided to make it out of 100% organic cotton grown in Texas.
Okay. So really local, all the products, the elements, and everything coming from the States.
Everything coming from the States. Obviously, the packaging is different. And I also personally have been more conscious of sustainability issues over the past couple years. I've tried to, change to eating organic food, trying to buy local food, trying to not use plastic. I don't shop with plastic bags anymore. I have cloth bags. So I've been trying to change some of my own personal habits. And I wanted to kind of use some of what I learned personally in this product. So we package it in all recycled materials. We use no plastic.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to make a product that people were going to love, that I was going to love, and that was going to last for a long time. Because I'm sure you're familiar with the term fast fashion.
Yes, indeed.
But there's more and more conversation now about how damaging fast fashion is. And it sort of applies not just to fashion, but it applies to kind of everything that we buy. There's this idea that you buy, that things are made that aren't quality items, and that you buy them, they break really quick, and you throw them out, and they end up in the landfill. And I really, I don't personally want to do that, and I didn't want to have a product like that. So we wanted to make something that was really quality, sustainable, packaged sustainably, and that's how it came about.
It's really great. By the way, the example you just mentioned, I'm laughing because last night we were cooking and we made some steamed broccoli, and we have been using this Black & Decker steamer. My wife has had it, I want to say, before we were even dating. It's over 25 years old, and it is still the best product. And the old expression, they don't make it like they used to, type of thing.
Yes, it's true.
And I'm a big fan of, and specifically as it relates to bedding, I remembered I spent way more money on a really good mattress because of how important it is to get a good night's sleep. And I would now amplify that on how important having great bedding is and great linens are. It is worth the premium because you don't realize how important that good night's sleep is, and not just the mattress, but the pillowcases, the sheets. You spend so many hours in it, and you would never think about it. So I guess that is such an important message, and kudos to you, because it is so challenging competing globally with cheaper labor forces around the world. I imagine that adds to your cost and the challenges that you've had in your business, which is the question I guess I have for you. In having to put that together, pushing this. You're in kind of a nice tidal wave here for messaging, because people do want to support locally. People do want great quality. Is that going to be part of a lot of American Blossom's ongoing message?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It has been, and it will be going forward. And I have to say one other thing. In the past couple of months, with the COVID-19 and the supply chain disruptions and all the issues with PPE, I think a lot more people are starting to think, people that maybe weren't so into the sustainability mindset, those people are starting to think, hey, where are the things coming from that I'm buying? Because I have, just in the last 2 months, we've been getting more and more comments on social media, personal emails to me, just saying, thank you for having a product that's local. We're looking for it now. We don't want to buy things from China anymore. It just seems like people are starting to think about this more.
Well, I also think, I think the best part is the quality issue, and the example that had a career spent building, making textile products and catered towards a different type of clientele in hospitality, who's, by the way, going through a real tough angle right now. To bring that type of quality and product into the home, I think is great. And
so a couple of the things we did to make it really higher quality, I'll just mention a couple of them.
Let's hear it. Share away.
So number one, we make the elastic thicker. It's about 3/4 of an inch. It's thicker than your average elastic on the sheet you buy at Target. We made the depth of the sheet very generous, so it'll fit a lot of different size mattresses. And the elastic is good quality elastic made in North Carolina. It will hug the mattress so the sheet stays on. We made the sheets a little bit larger, more generous, so that when you tuck them in, they stay tucked in if you like to have them tucked in. We made the fabric a bit more substantial, so it feels like heavier luxury fabric. A lot of the fabric that's on, sheet fabric that's out there now is very thin and feels kind of, I in quotes, chintzy.
Yeah.
This just feels like in the summer, you could sleep in the sheet without a blanket. It's substantial, but yet it breathes because it's 100% cotton.
Nice. All right. I like it. And we're going to get to the plug section at the end here, but I want to dive a little into talking to you, Janet. Quick moment here. We love asking guests on the program this question. Okay. As an entrepreneur, an innovator, someone working through a family business, maintaining a brand for, like you said, 100 years, by the way, kudos, an incredible accomplishment. And obviously we're not always kicking on all cylinders, and we don't always have our A game, if you will, with us. On the days that you're not thriving, what practice do you seek, or what individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Oh, that's an easy question. My husband actually is my rock.
Okay.
Yeah. He used to work in the business with us, but about 5 years ago, he decided to pursue something different. So he's very familiar with the way things work. He knows textiles. So when I talk to him, I'm not talking a foreign language. He understands everything. He's my rock. He's able to calm me down. He's able to talk sense into me when I'm getting too emotional. He's my rock. So that's one thing. The second thing is exercise. I am an avid exerciser. I love to get on my spinning bike. I very luckily bought a Peloton bike.
You go, girl. You go.
I was hesitant to buy one, but last May my gym closed. And after doing, I'm a numbers person, after kind of doing the calculations of the rest of the spin gyms that were in my area, it was actually cheaper to buy the spin bike, to buy the Peloton. So I bought it just in the nick of time, too, because when all the gyms closed, I was still able to work out at home.
Awesome.
So
that's great.
That was good. Yeah.
Janet, we'll talk after the podcast. We'll make sure we get on a class together, and we'll do it.
Oh, you're okay. Great.
All right. So Janet, permission to actually, let's do this. Share with the listeners the admin part of the show, all the places people can find you. I know you got some, we'll put all the links in the show notes, but
Okay.
let's provide them some good engagement because they will follow up with you when they hear it directly from you.
Okay, that's good. So we have a website. It's AmericanBlossomLinens.com. You can go there if you want to email me or call me. There's a contact us page. You can feel free to look me up. I answer a lot of the phone calls myself, and I love talking to people. We have a Facebook page and Instagram. It's at AmericanBlossoms.com. At American Blossom Linens.
Got it.
We also are offering all of your listeners a 20% discount code.
Woohoo!
And the code would be Thrive Loud 20.
Okay.
And if they plug that into the discount code block on the website, they will get a 20% discount.
We will make sure that we put a direct link with that code in there so that they can have it and they can tap in and use it. So that's great stuff. Thank you for offering that to our listeners. Janet, permission to go down Fun Street with you and talk about some fun things that we do on this program to learn more about you.
Yes, absolutely.
So listeners need to know this. Janet was more excited about this than the whole interview because she knows the question's coming. Janet, can you share with your listeners what your all-time favorite movie is?
Oh, yes. My all-time favorite movie is The Sound of Music.
Okay. And why does this classic movie connect with you? Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's a fun movie. It's about people with a purpose and values, and they act on those values. But I just love Julie Andrews, and I love the songs. And I told you earlier, I have like a funny story. So
yeah.
My daughter was coming home from a trip and got the opportunity to have a layover in Vienna.
Oh, nice.
And she called and said, "Hey, Mom, do you want to meet me in Vienna for a weekend and we'll hang out together?" And I said, "Sure, with one caveat. We have to go to Salzburg and do the Sound of Music bus tour." So she said, fine. And we went to Salzburg, and there's an actual tour bus where you get on a bus and you can drive to all the sites where they did the Sound of Music. And we went to the church where Maria gets married. And we got to walk down the aisle, and because that's my favorite scene in the movie, where she goes down with her long dress, looking like a queen, and we got to go to the church and take pictures, and it was just really fun. But the biggest highlight of it was, so the person giving the tour pointed to the top of a hill when we were driving by and said, "Up at the top of that hill is the church that they use to do all the scenes in the church, and also when they're in the outside of the abbey. And you can walk up that hill, and the bus can't go up there, but you can walk up later and you can go and see the church. And if you're there at 5:00, you can go in the church and you can hear the nuns in the church do their prayer service."
Okay.
So I said to my daughter, "We have to go and see this." So we went at 5:00, and we're sitting inside the church, and all of a sudden you hear these voices. You can't see anything because they're in a balcony. You hear these angelic voices singing. It sounded just like the people who sing in the movie. That's great. It was, at the time I only had a flip phone. If I had my iPhone at the time, I would have taped it. But then at the end of when they were done, this nun comes out, and she's all dressed up in the habit, the black habit, the long habit. She looked like she stepped right out of the movie. And she said in English to us, because I guess she knew that we were all English-speaking people, she said, "We have to close the church right now, so it's time you have to leave."
You got the boot from the nun.
Yeah, she was all dressed up, looking just like the Mother Superior in the movie.
Straight out of Central Casting. I like it. That's awesome.
So cool. It was so cool.
So I guess I was going to ask, well, let's go this way. Is there a favorite song that you like more than any from the movie?
I think the beginning. When she sings the song, The Sound of Music. And
the Hills Are Alive. Okay.
Yeah, Hills Are Alive. Yeah.
Right. The last question I want to deal with here, and this is a message. We have a lot of entrepreneurs as our listening base, and a lot of people who could only dream about having being part of a family that has a 100-year successful company. But we know that, like every business, every year is a new year for everybody else. And feels like a startup every single day. What's a great message that you would give to future entrepreneurs or current ones out there from the lessons you've learned in helping to run a successful family business?
Well, you have to continually reinvent yourself in your business. You can never stay static. You have to always have hope and faith, and you have to work really hard. I mean, it's not a 40-hour-a-week work week. It's not. If you want to own your own business, it's a lot of hours.
Janet Wischnia, words of wisdom, great experience, American Blossom Linens. So much fun having you on the program here today. Thank you for sharing everything. You can only imagine what music is going to be playing underneath us as we end this podcast here.
Oh, great. I'm going to have to watch the movie tonight. I watch it at least once a year. So I'm going to have to watch it tonight.
But thanks again for coming on the program today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep driving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.